mute my phone.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening to everybody out there. And hello to all of you beautiful people out there in Facebook land. This is Dr. Carolyn again. I know you saw us on yesterday. And listen, buckle up your seatbelts because you're going to see us all week long, okay? This is the week of I Am a Black Man. So get some friends. You come on in, tune in with us, and you can chat, you can ask some questions, put some posts and all of that. We want to engage with you. And so tonight we are just so super excited. So again, I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Carolyn, visionary CEO of I Am a Black Woman and the I Am a Black Man project, okay? And so I know that all of you have been on Facebook, you've seen all the announcements, you've seen the trailer, some of you saw the documentary. So the buzz is about, and I'm sure that everybody knows about the I Am a Black Man Ascension of the Kings. I know you know about that project, and if you don't, why don't you? But listen, most importantly, have you pre-ordered your book? If you have not, let me tell you how you can do it. You need to go to www.bossladypress.com and pre-order your book on tonight. And we'll make sure we post that and announce that again throughout our broadcast on tonight. But anyway, we want to go right into it. So before we present our guest, this handsome fellow that you see sitting probably to my left, all right? Tonight, I am hosting with my host, none other than Darshelle McAlpine, CEO of Boss Lady Press, also now CEO of Boss Lady Media. And she is the queen that is the glue that puts all these beautiful books that you see, the I'm a Black Woman, the I'm a Black Man. She is responsible for putting all of those things together. How you doing tonight, Miss Darshelle?
I am doing well. And how are you, Miss Carolyn? I feel like I just talked to you like 3 minutes ago.
I know. I know. I'm doing well. And since the 3 minutes ago we talked, I'm doing well in this space. And I am so super, super elated. Okay. I'm excited about the guest that we have with us. It's hard for me to get that out and say he's a guest because
right.
he's our brother. But, you know, in this platform, we're being formal here. So yes, he is our guest. Okay. So I want to give some housekeeping. Okay. I have something really exciting. I am in the giving mood. So you need not miss these next 4 nights, okay? Because I feel like giving away something, Miss Darshelle. So for all of you that are on this broadcast, I'm gonna be fair about it, even if you watch the replay, okay? And if I need for you to share, listen to me careful, I need for you to share, okay, this video. All right. And we're going to do a drawing. So that means we got 4 people that can win some stuff. So on tonight, okay, if you share, your name is going to go into a drawing and you will be able to win a free, I said free, F-R-E-E, a free copy of the ebook of I Am a Black Man. But you got to share. So now you can't share in a group. You got to share on your public page because Ms. Darshelle and I are going to go back and we're going to look at the shares to see all the people who share because that's the only way you're going to be qualified for the drawing. So I'm going to say that again. I need you to share this broadcast tonight on your public page. Your name is going to go in the drawing. Listen, if you're the only one that shared, then you know you automatically win, okay? For Monday night. So you're going to win. Okay, you're going to win a free copy of the ebook of the new book, I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. And you got to come back tomorrow because every night I'm going to be giving away something. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to give away tomorrow, but tonight you have an opportunity to win the free ebook for I Am a Black Man. All right. And listen, if you say, well, I already ordered the book, then you get the free ebook for a friend. How could you can't beat that? Okay, all right. So I want to introduce our guest on tonight, Mr. Melvin White. He is one of the king authors for the newly released book, I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. I'm going to allow Melvin to really tell you a little bit more about himself. But I just want to say that since I have known this king, I have laughed, I have cried, and I have laughed again. Melvin has become a favorite of the In Between Sisters show, and if you didn't see that session, then you would understand why we say that Melvin has become one of our favorites, because he helped all of us sisters out on that day. And so I can't really tell you everything that he said. You'd have to watch the session for yourself. But let's just say that Melvin was extremely transparent. He was very candid, okay? And at one time in Melvin's life, I'll put it this way, okay? I'll try to be a little more politically correct. He can put it in his own verbiage. But Melvin at one time in his life was a connoisseur of women. I think that's probably the best way that I know how to put it. And he came with workbooks and all. Okay? And so he had every woman on that show with their mouths dropped, okay? And we couldn't get mad at him because he was so truthful and transparent. And we went through a course on what it is to be the side chick. We learned that, and I think everybody is still buzzing Melvin, and we are talking about that particular show. But before we come to you, Melvin, I do want to come to Miss Darshell. So Miss Darshell, you've known Melvin for quite some time. And I know when we initiated this project, he was like one of the first people that you recommended and said he needed to be on this project. So can you tell us, why did you want Melvin to be on this project?
Well, of course, we've known each other since I think third grade. And Melvin has always been tenacious. He is, first of all, he's very charismatic, yes. Which yes. Probably helped him in his former pursuits.
Yes, I think so.
But we reconnected probably a couple of years ago, and he was very passionate about what he's doing in the space of helping mentor young men, children, being a single father, and all those kinds of things. And he had already written a book, and I just knew, I had read some excerpts from that and just felt like he would be an excellent addition to this project, and he did not disappoint.
No, no, he did not. And so, Melvin, we are just elated about having you serve on this project, and just about being a part of the movement itself. We're excited about having you. So, Melvin, let me ask you, why did you, well, first, before you answer that question, tell us, so I'll put it in one question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you want the audience to know about Melvin White. Who is Melvin White? And also tell us, why did you want to be on this project?
A little bit about me. As you guys say, I've written a book before, so I am the author of a book, Breaking the Cycles of Abandonment. I Am Not My Father. So that was one of my favorite projects that I've worked on. I'm a father of 3 beautiful daughters, and a grandfather of 3 beautiful grandsons.
Wow, okay.
I currently own a company with my 18-year-old called Legacy Builder Speakers Consulting Group, and I am a managing partner in Education Equity Group with a group of 4 other people, where we're doing programs for African-American kids, grades K through 3rd grade. We strictly write curriculum. We are unapologetically Black. If someone else can benefit from our lesson plans and our resources, that's fine, but it's geared towards helping our 3rd graders by the time they get ready to take the 3rd grade proficiency test, they'll be suited for it.
Oh,
Um, as of Friday, I have just become a high school career coach. And so I just took on that position Friday.
okay.
Congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
I'm excited about that because I'll be in our inner city schools, working with our predominantly Black youth on how to prepare for the workforce, how to prepare for entrepreneurship, how to just deal with obstacles that's in front of them that may help them to get through the barriers. So I'm really excited about that. Why did I choose to do the project? Darshell. Even as a kid, you couldn't say no to her. So she gave me a call, and we had talked, as we always do. Seem like we never get stuff done because we talk for like hours before we actually get the project started. But she told me all about you and what was going on, and she's like, "Well, I'm not putting any pressure on you. That's fine, but it sounds."
Yeah, we've all heard that.
You knew then that the pressure was on.
Right.
Right. And so after hearing the project, then I got a chance to talk to you, Doc, and it seemed like
Right.
we talked for a couple hours.
We did.
And we just shared some things, and it seemed like we were family. It seemed like we just had that same connection that I had with Darshell. And I went from there. It was just like a no-brainer. I was a little nervous as to what I would be writing because I didn't want it to be repetitive of what was already in my first book. So that was kind of a challenge. So I had to kind of play with a few things and take it on a different angle. But man, this is by far one of the best things that I've done because unlike my book, it was an emotional journey for me to just cleanse some things out of myself. But with this book, it's a movement, it's a brotherhood, it's a fraternity. So it speaks to me in a different way. I've gained so much insight from my brothers who are part of this project and the empathy that I've grown to have for these men and just the courage that we've all taken to open up our lives. Some things I didn't share in this book, but came out through conversations because of this journey.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope that people will get from this, that men will understand that it can be a safe place. You can come and join our fraternity and we'll be here for you and provide you a safe place to conversate.
That's beautiful. One of the things I know King author Melvin White and the other King authors, they have their own private group that we communicate through. And Melvin, I've watched you Kings communicate in that group. And I have to say, there's a number of really profound things that I have seen happen just in that private group. And so I'd like for you to address that. One of the things that we commonly say in the Black community as well as in society is that Black men don't talk. Black men don't want to talk. They don't want to unveil. They don't want to share. Can you address that? First of all, is that true? Is that true that Black men don't? Because I'm seeing something else different from you Kings, but is that true?
I think it's a stereotype. I think we've been put in positions where we weren't allowed to talk, where we were ostracized if we did talk, where we probably didn't have that safe feeling to communicate. We were so busy trying to feel like we had to fill this void of what society thought was a man that we weren't allowed to really share our true feelings. If we shared them, then the women that were in our lives a lot of times didn't look at us as being a man, or the friends around you who probably wouldn't share kind of looked at you as strange, you know. And we have to start to get away from that feeling that everything can be answered through prayer. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit more than just prayer. You know, God gives you free will, so, and the resources outside of prayer to get the things done that we need to do. I think that men will talk if they feel comfortable, if they feel like there's not going to be judgment on them. Kind of almost like women. When we look at women, sometimes you hear that, you know, stories that they've never told anything until they became grown, and you know, and then they decide to share some things that may have happened in their lives. Now, society would look at women as someone that should be able to talk, and the men supposed to be these big, brave men that come and protect you. So if we become vulnerable, then that takes away that feeling that, oh, he can protect me. So I think we have to have a paradigm shift in our culture as to how we communicate with one another, how we can still share and love on each other and heal each other in the same process. If I open my wounds up to you, and you're my inner strength as my woman, and I can accept the same things from you, that only makes us more stronger. That only makes our household dynamic, and nothing can penetrate us then. But if everybody is scared to share something, then nothing gets resolved. And all of those issues go into every relationship that you've ever been in. And you're never, ever fully comfortable in a relationship because you've never given anybody you.
Wow. Wow. Ms. Darshell, how do you feel about what Melvin has said? And also, we are privy to see some of the, you know, conversation and the interaction in their private group. Darshell and I stay aback, though. We don't, you know, we purposely don't really chime in on when you guys are talking. We just try to be there administratively, so to speak. But what has been your feeling, Ms. Darshell, just watching these men engage with each other, the way that they're engaging?
I think when we begin to look at the project, the impetus for the project was obviously that the I Am a Black Woman, the compendium series. And what we brought back from that book was that in every instance, there was a man. There was a man who had said something. There was a man who was protective. There's a man who was holding on to. There was a man that was taking care of. There was a man who was hurting, who was crushing. There was a man who was a molester. And to have that answer back, to have these men speak back. But in that process, what we found out is that we're not so different.
Yeah.
We've suffered very similar things. And so where women were being vulnerable with each other in many spaces, when the men got that safe place, we found out our struggles are the same. We are similar. And again, one of the points of the movement, the I Am a Black Man, I'm a Black Woman movement, is to really crush, to decimate the myths that say we're so different and we're so incongruent that we cannot connect. When we started talking, we found out, hey, we're the same. And many of us have been saying that all along. We are one. You have to forcefully fight against the lies and the myths that would say somehow we're so incredibly unique and different that we can't connect. But the universe decided to connect us before the foundations. So, in the ultimate intelligence and the ultimate wisdom has brought us together. Who are we to say that we can't be together? To quote a biblical phrase, right? What God has joined together.
Yeah.
Let no man put asunder. Yes. We are one. There's a oneness, as my brother would say, a duality, if you will, of our struggle and the things we face. Something my husband often says, you know, when I get home with you, I can say to you what it's been like, what I faced, because you understand my struggle, and I can lay all of that here and know that there's no judgment, that you're not uncomfortable, that you don't get it, that you don't understand it, that you don't not only sympathize, but you empathize. You get it. You've been there. And I think what we found with the men's stories is that they run parallel to our stories.
They really do. I mean, they really do. I want to share with our viewers a little bit of a transparent moment that I have, and I wanted Melvin to respond to this. This has been, and it still is, a very profound experience for me. This I Am a Black Man project has stirred up, and it has invoked the kinds of conversations that I think most of us really have longed for. For me as a woman, I know that this project has done so much for me, Melvin, and I have to say you have been really instrumental in that. And it was one night after I'd done a show. And I came in, I call it the little box. I call it the boys box. But I came in the messenger, and I began to disrobe emotionally. And I talked about how that I had been beaten, I had been raped, I had been degraded, I had suffered abuse at the hands of a Black man. And I was really a little bit afraid to be that candid, because I didn't want you kings to think that I was indicting the Black man. I was really just sharing, this is real, what I have experienced at the hands of those Black men. And so, Melvin, if you would, could you, because I never really did ask you, but you were one of the kings that did comment and fed my soul in that moment, because I was like full of tears when I put that in there. Could you tell me when you read, and I could feel feral, I could feel all the men like, oh, I could feel they were like, oh my God. You know, I don't really know what they were thinking when I did it, because I know they all embraced me like a sister. But when I put that in there, just so other women, I guess I want them to know what that can feel like when, as a Black woman, you begin to disrobe and share. What were the thoughts that was going through your head when you saw me be that transparent and put that in there?
The first thing I thought was the project is working. that was my very first thought. Like, man, this project is taking all of us in a direction that we never anticipated or could fathom how big it could be. I thought, wow, Doc is really being vulnerable. And at that moment, all I could think of is like, but yet you rise. Through it all, you rise. And look at where you are now. Look at what you're doing. So to get it out, for me, looking at you was, okay, she's taking a healing process much like us.
Yeah.
So you became an honorary brother for that moment.
Yes, I did.
And
Yes,
you took the journey with us without writing your story in the book. You took a part of that same journey, because the same things that's been asked of us to dig deep, that Darshell consistently draws out and gets more. You took the same journey in just that brief moment. So it was just like, okay, let's embrace her into the brotherhood now. And so my first response was, okay, Doc, you okay though? Look, all of that, and you're still beautiful. All of that, and you're still strong. All of that, and you still on your A game. So that shit was nothing compared to the blessings that's in front of you.
And that was in your comment, that was so healing for me. And so my thought is, Melvin, that when when a man, especially a Black man, when a sister decides to say, okay, because as women, we kind of talk about those things. We kind of disrobe in front of each other. Okay, but I did something different because I was like, I'm gonna talk to my brothers about where I've been. And so when a Black woman comes to a Black man and decides to, and there's no relationship. That's mainly what I'm talking about. And decides to be vulnerable, because I will tell you that as a Black woman, outside of a personal relationship, and even with those, sometimes it's hard for us to tell men how we feel, and sometimes it's hard for us to be vulnerable because we don't know what you're going to do with it. You know what I mean? We don't know what you're going to do with that, especially those of us who have been abused and victimized and things of that sort. So, how, I guess what I want to say is, first of all, do you encourage that Black women do that more? Do you encourage that we do that more?
I do, but then again, I'm a different kind of cat. I've seen some brothers that shy away from that. I've seen.
Can you tell me why? Could you tell me why?
I've seen some brothers like, oh man, here she go with this shit. I ain't really trying to hear that, because maybe if they think that if they listen, then maybe they're locked into something a little more long term than what they may care to be in. Maybe this is just a moment thing, but if I allow you to open up too much to me, now I'm going to feel obligated that I got to be in something that maybe I don't want to be in. Or it sounds like the crap I used to hear from my mom or from one of my baby mamas. I don't want to hear that from you guys. So it just depends on where that brother is in his life. Again, I'm a different kind of guy. I was raised by a female. I've been around females, my whole entire life. I didn't really have that male component. So I ended up being a little bit more conscientious of what a woman's feelings were. I ended up being a little bit more understanding and listening to you all, with that sympathetic and intentional ear, so that I can give the advice that's needed. Hell, my best friends are females. I don't really do dudes that much, so this whole brotherhood was a good thing for me because I inherited a lot of brothers that on a normal basis, I probably wouldn't be talking to.
Wow. Do you think, Melvin, that as a woman, and I'm not talking about a personal relationship with a man, but just talking about like a brother, that do you think that when a Black woman shares something like that with a brother, with a big brother, do you think in the mind of a Black man, is there a little bit of ambivalence about the response? Because I don't know, do you feel that maybe men might feel like a little bit of guilt, maybe because I couldn't protect her? I'm just trying to understand what goes through that mind.
I can see that, because even with some of my female friends, when we have serious conversations and they tell me some of the things that they've experienced, and I may have been knowing these people as long as I've been knowing their shell, and now I'm finding out that they've gone through some things. That anger and that guilt does kick in. Like, man, how did I not know this? How come I wasn't there to make sure you didn't have to go through that? Why didn't you call me? Because again, if you are a strong brother, that protection, that automatic thought that you're supposed to protect the female, you're supposed to protect your home, you're supposed to protect your friend, that's innate. That's something that's there when you are that Black man. we are born protectors. We are born kings. Some of us lose it along the way, and we allow ourselves to be sifted into what society has dictated we become. And sometimes what our mothers have turned us into. I often talk about how mothers love their sons and raise their daughters.
That's true.
And it's like a daughter gets pregnant and the mom like, hey, you got to be responsible. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. I'm not going to be giving you all that help. But if a son goes out and gets someone pregnant, first thing a lot of Black women say, that's not my son's baby.
Wow.
Instead of making him responsible until you find out either it is or it isn't. But the moment that there's a thought that this is your baby, it's your baby. Until you can prove different. Because if you lay with this woman, then that's your baby. Until you can prove otherwise. And so many moms make it okay for a young Black man to sit on a couch and let a woman go to work and bust her ass while he's sitting at home, drop her off at work in her car, and comes back home and play video games all day until it's time to pick her back up, and then has the audacity to be 10, 15 minutes late.
Okay. Yeah, I think I dated one of them. I got you.
And I dated his brother.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I mean, because what I'm hearing you say though, Melvin, is that I mean, and Mr. Arsha, you can chime in on this because you have a son. But so what I'm hearing you say is that sometimes, maybe it's subconsciously, we do it as Black women. We're not really making our sons be as accountable as they need to be. Is that what I'm kind of hearing you say? We need to up our game when it comes to.
And I preface that it's not all Black women, but I find when you look at some of these men that you may deem as not responsible, not living up to the potential that you may see in them, if you follow the breadcrumbs back, a lot of
He muted.
Okay.
Right back to mom, where that responsibility is fully on her, regardless if he had a father in the house or not. Responsibilities, chores, understanding, commitment can be done by a male or a female. It doesn't take a man to be in the house to teach a young man responsibilities and obligations. And so I don't fall with a sympathetic ear till I hear these cats like, oh man, I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know how to be a father. Well, hell, I didn't either. But I take it very serious. And I learned the tools that I needed to learn. I tell them all the time, do it in reverse order. Everything that you were missing, then put it in your ingredients to raise your child.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
I also think that with often when women are raising their sons, and hear me out on this because I've seen it, and I've witnessed it, and there are actually studies to back this up. They will often, the son becomes their man, so to speak.
That part.
He's my boo, he's my baby, that's my, and he takes on the responsibilities and the emotional responsibility for any gaps that woman is having.
And you and I have similar conversations.
Right, and that happens. And when you see that happening, now we are emasculating a man.
That part.
And that same woman is going to have difficulty when that son dates. She's always going to want to be the authority in his life. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's been a little Facebook thing circulating. I didn't read the whole thing. I just read the caption that talked about, I guess the guy pulls up and his mother's in the front seat.
I saw that.
Wife wants to get in the front seat of the car and this, that, and the other. Then there's different things. First of all, I would defer to my mother-in-law because I just feel it's a place of respect. Yeah. However, this is the truth. The Bible say leave and cleave.
That's the law.
Leave and cleave. That relationship is entirely different. But I have dated men who were coddled by their mothers and then
Right.
unable to, and expected the coddling. And then because of my own upbringing and because of my own issues and my psychological bent, I gravitated to folks that needed to be babysat because they had been babysat.
Hello, hello,
So not only did
hello.
I have to free myself from that behavior, but I had to recognize where it comes from. And so with my, and God, I do not want to say that I was a perfect parent because I am sure that all three of my children need counseling. And I just
Oh,
told them I got the first 6 visits. That's all I'm saying. But the reality is with my boys, I was very particular. When you get 16, you're going to get a job. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. My sons cook better than my daughter. They were all washing their clothes when they were 8 years old. This is how you separate. These are your lights. These are your darks. This is how you clean up. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. This is how you treat a woman, because I will be damned if I let you mistreat anyone the way that I have seen my mother be mistreated, the way I have been mistreated, the way I have seen my friends mistreated. You will not live your life that way. You will understand, and not just how you treat a woman, but how you treat people. You do not pour selfishness and mean spiritedness and egregious behavior into the life of people. You're considerate. But if we don't purposely do that and we just, oh, that's my baby boy, I just
that's
love
right.
him so much, he's my baby, now we've created a monster. I had one of those.
Yeah, and I dated his cousin.
And then you turn them loose on society,
right?
And they have the same expectations. I often tell women and men when I do parenting classes, for moms, one of the worst things you can tell a boy is you're the man of the house.
Yes,
I agree.
Only 5 or 6 years old.
I agree.
That to me, and that was such a mental weight on me throughout my whole life, because then everything that I did, I had to look back and see how it was going to impact my mom, or how it was going to impact everything in the household, when I should have only been a son. Yeah. I shouldn't have to make up for every man that did you wrong. I shouldn't have to make up for my father not being there. I shouldn't have to make up for things that you didn't have. My only responsibility should have been being a bad little boy. Yeah, being able to, ride my bike, and and my mom often looks back now and she says, I apologize because I cheated you out of a childhood. When all your friends was out playing, you had the responsibility of working to take care of the house. And I've always been responsible like that. And it's a gift and a curse. Let a kid be a kid. Let them make those mistakes. Don't inflict your fears of what happened in your relationships onto a kid, because he shouldn't have to carry that burden. And I've carried it for all of these years, and it wasn't until I sought out therapy that I was able to uncover all of that and say, no, I'm not your husband. I'm not those dudes that did you wrong in the past. I'm not my dad. I'm your son. Look at me like I'm your son. I don't have to continue to be responsible for everything that makes you happy. Wow. And that's a hard thing to do, to tell your mom when you've been conditioned to be another way. And so that kind of puts a damper on your relationship, because if every day you're used to getting something a certain way and then all of a sudden it abruptly changes, you're not going to be happy. So that learning curve for her was rough for a few years for us. It created tension in our relationship, because she was so used to me figuring out any problems that she had, me figuring out the answers and making it happen. I was laughing because I was watching the movie The Book of Henry. And I'm like, that's me. I was Henry, to my mom. She had me at 15, and so we grew together. So she didn't make a move without consulting me. I helped pay to make sure the bills were paid. I made sure that things functioned in the house. And it hasn't been but the last few years that my mom has really just started taking on those things on her own, because I purposely and intentionally started to back up.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I mean, Melvin, do you think in our closing, you've given me a lot to think about, and I'm sure our viewers have a lot to think about when it comes to that, because many Black mothers, we do that, and again, we may do it, subconsciously.
Yeah.
We're single parenting. Do you think that that's sort of the beginning of where we begin to, as a society, begin to put the pressure on Black men? Is that sort of the beginning of where all this pressure of expectation comes when it comes to the Black man? And in that question, do you find that Black women in particular have an unrealistic expectation of Black men? And does that present a lot of pressure to you as a Black man?
Yes. When I look at things like that, and because this book has sparked so many conversations with me and just different people. When I look at that, it does start to stem back. That pressure comes from childhood, either positive or negative. You can be the one who was coddled by your mom all the time, and now you've been unleashed into the world, and now you expect for everyone to do that for you. Or you've been the one who had to play the role of your mama's man, her pastor, her everything, and now you're unleashed into the world. And those two men look at the world and look at women totally different. One may look at a woman. My mother's favorite saying was, "A woman is not your slave; she's your equal. You will learn how to cook. You will learn how to clean. You will learn how to sew, because I want you to be self-sufficient. I want you to want a woman and not need her." But yet, she was dependent on me. But yet, I had to make sure that I was everything to her. So
Wow.
Even though she sent those things with me out into the world, and so my brother and I both cook, we clean, we sew, we do it all. Dinners, I'm usually the one that's cooking all of the holiday foods and the things of that nature. I had to teach my wife how to cook. I think when we go off into the world, the expectations of a man is too much sometimes.
Okay.
Because we have to approach a relationship like a business. We're a startup company. What are you going to invest in me? And then is there going to be a return on your investment? And so we have to learn to grow in a relationship, much like a business. I'm like McAdoo said, I don't need you to love me. I need you to respect me and appreciate me. I need you to be able to grow with me. When I look at relationships, you might be on welfare, but I see a potential in you. I see, okay, this girl in school, she got it going on. Yeah, she on the system right now, but if I invest in her stock, that portfolio gonna be like IBM in a minute. So how do I invest in her? Same thing with women. You got to look at a brother for what the potential is. He may not have the car right now. He may not have the nice house, but where's the potential? Now, I'm not asking a sister to sit and wait, because a bum is a bum. I don't give a damn who you are. Male
Thank
or
God you
female.
thank you, Melvin. Clarify
I'm not
that.
asking you to
Okay.
waste your whole life.
I
But
get you.
if you see the potential, invest in that brother.
Okay.
Clean him up. Because I guarantee you the return on that stock, that same brother like me who had a bus pass and was working at McDonald's, I outlasted all the dope boys. Now I'm the one with the master's degree in 2 different companies. But you didn't want to invest in me. You left me because this dude had some spinning rims on his car.
Melvin, I'm gonna ask you. I didn't plan on asking you this, but since you took it there, like you do, so you know, I'm up front. That's the kind of conversations you and I have. Is that why black men sometimes go to white women?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had my experience there too. Because they don't mind investing. Now I don't know what their reasonings are behind choosing. Now that's a whole different subject. You know, sometimes their choosing can be because of defiance,
Okay.
because somebody told them they couldn't,
Okay.
because they just wanted to, it's taboo. But there's not a lot of judgment. There's a, how can I help you get from point A to point B?
Wow.
Because they see, I could have got the white girl that was on, and I was on the bus, and she'll pick me up and let me drive her car.
Okay. I mean, you know, I got a lot of feelings about that, but that might be another show. But yeah, because I want to dialogue about that, and I'm sure that Darshell probably have a couple thoughts in her head. I am the fact that when I ask you that question, and I'm going to say it this way, from your observation, King, and I will say this on behalf of all my Queen sisters. I apologize that a lot of you brothers have that perception of us that we don't want to invest, because I can tell you as a sister that most of us don't have that in our head. I mean, we will invest. We will stand by our man. We will, you know, we will be there for you when you just got the bus pass, or even when you ain't got no bus pass. Okay, we will. Most of us will. But I do get it. I could see how from some of our responses, especially nowadays, I could see how a brother would feel that way. And so I'm sorrowful for that, because I don't want our kings to feel that way. Okay, but let me just be real upfront. But see, you know, Patty got a car because her daddy probably gave her one when she was junior high school. See, I'm saying, she said, Shaquita ain't got no car to ride you in. I mean, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Shaquita ain't got no money. I mean, it's not that Shaquita don't want to give it to you. I mean, but we on it. You know what I'm saying? We on that same tip, because you know, hey, Shaniqua might be on that bus with you. So it's not that about she don't want to.
And I think
we lack the resources ourselves, you know.
I think we have to change the dynamics of how we parent.
Okay.
Because so often, what if you even have a father in the house or your mom, you need to get with a man who got this, got that. He needs to be able to take care of you. He needs to be able to do all of these things. And so I think in the forefront, the women have a list of things from a childhood. Instead of saying those things, maybe we need to purposely and intentionally, it's okay if y'all rise together. It's okay if y'all start out with nothing and you grow. Like I say, I got 3 daughters. I teach them independence first. I teach them entrepreneurship, but I also teach them to respect a brother's potential.
That's good.
It's okay to invest in him. Again, I'll tell them the same thing. You're not about to be a damn fool for him, but you can invest in what you see his potential is. But if you don't start to see, just like an investment, if you don't start to see it grow after a certain period of time, you don't waste your time on it forever. But at least have the courage to invest in his potential. And as your father, I will guide you if I see bullshit. You know, I will peep your coat like, nah, this dude ain't going nowhere. It's time to let that go.
Darshell, let me ask you a question, Darshell. You know, I'm sitting here, and Melvin, this is one of the things about dialoguing with you, because you and I gonna have this conversation backstage. But I'm gonna ask Darshell.
I gotta look.
Please chime in. But I do want to ask you, sister. Sister. And honestly, so Darshell, now, do you think that what Melvin is talking about is definitely one of the things that Black men and women definitely need to sit down and have a conversation about?
I'm gonna say this, and so I want to put it out here, and I'm gonna just put it out here.
Okay, I got you, sister.
You in a safe space. This is our safe space, right?
Right.
We can be honest about what we feeling and what we thinking and what our observations and we thinking. Okay, Black women have to stop being afraid that a Black man is dating a white woman, marries a white woman. We got to stop having that issue, because that issue is not coming from a place that we actually feel that Black men are abandoning Black women or abandoning even the cultural schemes of things. We have that issue because it's age old.
Well,
there is a divide between who we think we are and who they think they are. And we are never going to let them be better than us. And when a Black man chooses a white woman, it says to us that he thinks they're better. And so when we look, we've been on this call almost an hour, and hardly no words, no nothing, not a thing, just rolling, because this is a hot button issue. But Black women, let me confront you about your issues, your psychological issues. Ain't nothing wrong with you because a brother choose a white woman.
That's right.
This baby girl, you still hot as hot rocks. You don't have to worry that that's his choice. And I believe from the beginning of time that the idea that something should be separate from this was not maybe the intent. Since genetically there's no difference, I think we have put that in here. But since we have to now work in the confines, particularly in this country, of racism and sexism, we have to work in the confines that we are a part of, then we deal with that. But Black women, there's nothing wrong with you because a Black man choose a white woman. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You are still extra fabulous, and the earth still comes from your womb. You still all that 12 bags of chips and some dip. So straighten up your crown, baby girl. Get it together. You good. Ain't nothing wrong with you. And when a Black man says to you that I dated this white girl because she saw potential in me, because she helped me, because she did that for me, that's not to say that you wouldn't do it. He said what that white girl did for him.
Right.
He didn't say all the white girls, because he only know the couple of 2 or 3 he dated.
Mm-hmm.
He's not speaking for the whole culture. He's saying that was my experience. And hear what he's saying. I felt accepted. I felt respected. I felt encouraged. And instead of us hearing that, baby, look, it has been some social media neck rolls up in here.
Yeah.
But it's okay. What he's saying in this safe space that we're creating when we have these difficult conversations, that's what the platform is for, to talk about why would you choose her when there's so many sisters to choose from. The other thing is, I feel like this: you love who you love. And yes,
right.
you can pick and you can choose. You're attracted to what you're attracted to. And I have friends who have dated all myriads of things. And I try not to, and children, my kids have dated all myriads of things.
Yes.
So I'd like to to squash that. I'm not going to tell you that you're not Black enough because you married somebody white or you married somebody Filipino. Or
That's right.
I'm not going to tell you that you got to turn in your race card. I do understand that if you do that, there is a part of you got to kind of close down. You got to shut down.
Yeah.
Which is why my husband said I couldn't marry a white girl, because I can't come home and tell her that so-and-so did so-and-so to me today. He can't come tell her that. He tell me, and I'll be like, baby, you want me to go over there? What you want me to do? Take my earrings off, get my basket? What you need me to do? Because I got you today.
And like I have,
So we
like
get
my middle daughter, she's dating a Vietnamese guy.
Beautiful.
Same thing.
Beautiful.
You know?
Beautiful.
They've been dating for 2 years. They have their issues. They're gonna have some cultural issues. But
Yeah,
again,
sure.
you can't help who you love. It seems like our Black culture is more accepting of that coming into our culture than they are of us coming into theirs.
Right.
That is absolutely true.
So,
but we are like that as a people. We are
Yeah.
an accepting and an embracing people anyway. We are just that way.
you know, so we look at
We are that way until you tell us we can't be that way. When you start to, like what we're seeing now, you're telling us that that's unsafe for us. So now we start to close our ranks, because you have let us know that our embracing culture, our forgiveness, that's a whole nother conversation. Our willingness to let things go, you're telling us that that's unsafe. So we're closing ranks. But if we could have the utopia, if we could have what I believe is intelligent design, if it were a perfect world, there would be no difference. You're talking about variations of melanin.
That exactly.
This is what you're talking about. Something. Farrah Phelps in his Skin I'm In project said, you can't control the melanin. You have no control over it. You don't get to decide if you're white or Black. No control. Because the current state of things, if we could all have some white privilege, we would be trying to get some. As Dr. Carolyn say, we don't need your white privilege. Just crack the door a little bit. We'll make the rest of it work.
Yeah, we're not begging. And I posed that question, Melvin. First of all, my daughter's in an interracial relationship, and I believe you love who you love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I do want to say is that to balance it out, your response again, I am sorrowful that in the way that as a Black woman that we have responded out of rejection, because that's where it comes from.
Right.
Okay, as soon as we hear, well, brother, with white woman, we automatically go into it, because that comes from rejection.
Right.
Like Darshell said, that has nothing to do with who you are as a Black woman, because a brother decided to date outside of his culture. But I'm sorrowful that some of the responses you have seen from us as Black women, that is what has been your observation, because internally in Black sisterhood, we know we are down with our brothers. Okay, we are guilty of not always articulating that in the way that we should, with the level of compassion that we should. In our brassiness and sassiness, we have picked up certain colloquialisms like that nigga trifling. I'm just putting it out there. We've said stuff like that, and every sister watching, y'all know that you said it, okay? And I can understand that a Black man hearing that kind of response would shut you down. So that's what I mean when I say I'm apologetic for that. But hey, we working on our stuff, okay? But the other part of it is that what I would like to ask from Black men is that if that is your preference, that we learn how to communicate that in a way that doesn't demean us as Black women. You see what I'm saying? So right. I say this is definitely going to be a topic of discussion, and we need to have these kinds of conversations. Yes. This is what, because these are the things, not that the Black man did or the not that the Black man did or the Black woman did, but these are the kinds of systemic things that were infiltrated into our culture to cause us to have the divide. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
We didn't do this. We got to admit it now. We didn't do this. These are the
Exactly.
types of things that were put into our culture to cause us to be divided. And what we are simply saying with the I Am a Black Woman Project and the I Am a Black Man Project is that we love each other. We are a
Yes.
community, and we're going to be together, and we're going to repair the damage that was done to us by having these kinds of conversations that we have not been trying to have.
Right,
and we're
right.
going to do it with a level of emotional intelligence. And I say emotional because it is emotional, but we're going to do it with a level of intelligence so that we can begin to bridge that gap, and we can begin to become the one people that we are. So Melvin, I can always count on you to give us that honest answer. That's one of the things I love about you, brother. I don't care how painful. Melvin is one of those kind of people. If you don't want the truth, don't act.
Don't ask.
So
Don't
Melvin,
ask.
in our last 5 minutes, I would definitely like to give you the floor and just give us your closing thoughts. Who do you want to speak to? You want to speak to the queens? You want to speak to the kings? How do you want to close?
I think we need to speak to both sides.
All right.
I think we have to have an awakening of our soul. And we need to get naked in our truth. And we need to talk to one another about our fears.
Okay.
And our expectations.
Okay.
Because if we merge those things together, then we'll understand, like we're finding out with this book, like we're finding out on these interviews, as Darshell so eloquently put it, we're not that different.
No, we're not.
Our fears are the same.
Yes, they
our
are.
wounds are the same. So let's start to make our healing process the same. And let's do it together.
I love it.
I love that. I love that. And Melvin, I love you. And I tell you, thank you so much, because your words have been profound for me as a Black woman. And I thank you for being my brother. And I trust you. And I trust you with my emotions. I trust you with my feelings. I trust you with my past, because I've never gotten any kind of energy from you that says I'm going to criticize you or judge you, but you have always come in and swooped me up with your words, and I feel protected being with my brother. And so thank you so much for doing that for me, for doing that for Darshell, and for all of the queens that are listening. This is encouraging, because we have some Black men out here that are getting it right. And King author Melvin White is a fine example of one of the kings that is getting it right. He didn't say he was perfect, okay? But he's on a journey of trying to get it right. And so, queens, those of you who are listening, let's get behind our kings. Let's support our Black men. Most of all, let us open up our ears and begin to listen to our kings and begin to embrace them, so that as women, we can use the power of nurturing that we innately have and create a safe environment for them, so that they can share their hearts with us without judgment. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I know we could go on and on, Ms. Darshell, because this is just fabulous. This is awesome. This is so wonderful. Again, Melvin, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my soul. And you are my brother for life. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us on tonight. You have heard up close and personal from one of the king authors of the I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. Again, I want to remind everybody, I want to encourage everybody, if you had not taken out the time to pre-order the book, it's not too late. You can do that right now. It'll only take you a few moments. Go to www.bossladypress.com and pre-order your copy of the book. You'll be able to read Melvin's story and all the other King authors. You'll be able to read their stories in their entirety. You need to get that book for your son, your father, your uncle, your brother, for some of the men in your life. Don't just order one, order a couple of them, and sit down with your family and have a discussion about what it is that you have read. Remember, I need for you to press that share button if you hadn't already pressed the share button, because Darshell and I are doing some giveaways this week. Every night this week, we're giving away something. So tonight, for those who share, we're going to search out and see that did you share. We're going to put your name in a drawing. We're giving out 4 things. So on tonight, if your name is chosen, you're going to win a free copy of the ebook of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. But you got to click share it to all your friends, share it on your social media, share it to everybody so your name can be in the pot, so you can get that. Well, we're going to be back here on tomorrow, Darshell and myself. We have another King author that we're going to be talking to up close and personal. You thought this was good. As the young people say, it gets gooder and gooder. Every single day. Gooder and gooder. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Boss Lady Darshell, for vibing along with me, and I'm vibing with you. Thank you again, Melvin. And most of all, thank you all for tuning in. We're sending you lots of love, peace, prosperity, peace and blessings to all of you beautiful people. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.